Welcome to MissouriNet.com, and it's time for our weekly conversation with Jason West of MSHSAA, the communications director, starting to get into their busy spring season. This past weekend just wrapped up the Scholar Bowl and an upset of sorts. Jason, why don't we start with that?
Yeah, we had our 4 classes of Scholar Bowl championships in on Friday, Saturday. Kind of heading into the weekend, Richland in Class 2 had made it yet again. I think they've been at every one but one of these championships, 20 out of 21, I believe. And so they were one of the favorites heading into it and made it to the championship game. And Saxony Lutheran actually beat them both in the prelims and in the championship game by just a couple of questions each time. I think came down to the final 2 questions in the championship game, and neither team were able to answer them. So Saxony held on for the 350 to 330 win, and I believe that was the first time in their program that they've won a state title.
Yeah, you've had a couple of different schools and some new faces that have shown up this past year for the Scholar Bowl.
Yeah, one of the interesting ones, Tuscumbia in Class 1 came, and a relatively newcomer, and we've kind of watched them progress over the last 3 years, and this year they came in, blew through the prelim round and were the number 1 or number 2 seed going into the bracket play, and then ended up beating Thomas Jefferson in the championship game, 320 to 300 to win their first title.
They've had a pretty good spring. Their basketball team, their girls basketball team, was up in Columbia, and now state champions in the Scholar Bowl. So they've had a nice little run here.
Yeah, they've certainly had a good year so far.
And then Class 3, it looks like the championship winner in Class 3 was Hallsville beating Savannah.
Yeah, and that was, again, some 2 traditional. Savannah has been a perennial power, if you will, in Scholar Bowl and has a long history. Hallsville has come up in the last 3 and 4 years. Last year did very well at the national level. Again, this year, I believe they finished 2nd in a small school national tournament. And so that was a nice championship run there, and they repeat as champions in Class 3.
Now, I was just looking at this bracket, and I noticed here, and I don't know if people can see this. I try to circle this here, but it says Hallsville. It says their record is 71-4. What is that based on?
That's going to be based on their head-to-head competition. Just like in the on the athletic side of things, we ask the teams to post their schedule, and if people can click on the Hallsville link and pull up their Scholar Bowl schedule and see how they or who they've played throughout the year and everything. And so that's where that record comes from. It's based on their head-to-head competitions based on the dual format like what we play. There are some other competitions that may have a little different feel and methodology to how they go through their competitions, but just in a head-to-head school versus school type format, that is what that record was. So you see Hallsville there at 71-4, Savannah at 78-7. Obviously, that record would not include their pool play that went through in the opening of the day. So, Hallsville is actually closer to 74-4 or 75-4 after the championship match because they went undefeated in pool play. And then you'll see some other teams on that bracket, like Kirksville is there at 2-0, and Barstow at 1-0. Sometimes they either don't have a full schedule until the district play, or they're competing in some other tournaments that may not have a full head-to-head competition like our format is.
Gotcha. All right, good. And then we'll wrap up with Class 4. Clayton was able to beat Central St. Joe in the championships.
Yes, and that had a little bit of an upset there in the semifinal with Central St. Joseph beating Hickman. Hickman actually came through undefeated in the prelim round. In fact, I believe Hickman, Marquette, and Clayton were all 3-0 after the first round of pool play, or the first 3 rounds of pool play, excuse me. And Central St. Joe was the 4 seed and upset Hickman in the semifinal, and then almost ran the table there, and just Clayton winning by 4 questions.
All right, good stuff, man. Interesting stuff. So, a nice, successful weekend for those schools, and another good turnout. Now we turn our focus to stuff outside, and hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate this week. You've got the start of boys golf sectionals and spring softball sectionals.
Yep, those are hopefully going to be able to be played this evening, or the golf sectional should be starting right about now if they haven't started already, and be going on this morning. And then later this evening, about 5 o'clock, the sectionals for softball should be going, and we'll know who'll be advancing to the golf championships later this evening, and then on to the quarterfinals for softball.
And then now, what's the difference between spring softball and, because I thought the fall is the main softball season. So what teams are in the spring?
Well, last year actually was the first year we offered a spring championship, but they're both fast pitch seasons. There's not a fast pitch and a slow pitch like some states have. They're both fast pitch. And what we have are a number of schools, especially the smaller schools, that don't have enough participants in the fall to field softball teams and volleyball teams and run cross country, or some of the other fall sports that we offer. And so they played basically an exhibition season in the spring, so they could still offer spring softball and have that opportunity for their students. And last year, it went through on the annual ballot and was voted in to offer a spring softball championship now. And we had about 75 schools participate in that series, and a few more have added it or crossed over from fall to spring this year. So I think we're up closer to 105 schools this year. But what that is offering that opportunity for those schools that may not have enough students to participate in multiple teams in the fall, and have those conflicts where they start the season out with a volleyball team, but due to injuries or something, that they can't finish the season as volleyball because they're playing softball, or they get injured playing softball, vice versa. And now we have dual championships. If you play in the fall, and that's your championship season, you can play an exhibition season in the spring. You're just not eligible for postseason. If you're playing in the spring season for the spring championship, you're telling us that you don't have enough students to participate in the fall, so you can't play anything in the fall. It's just in the spring.
Oh, all right. That clears that up. Now I got one more question for you too. My son is on the boys tennis team at his high school, and they start districts, and they're playing a team on Tuesday that has girls on their team. Now, girls are allowed to play up on the boys. Are they allowed to have their girls season in the fall? How does that work?
If there's girls playing on a boys team, that is allowed if you don't have a girls team. So, if a school doesn't offer softball, then, girls would be allowed to play baseball or with the baseball team. We've actually had a school that had to supplement their baseball team with softball players that were played in the fall because they didn't have enough boys to play baseball in the spring. I think that they've kind of found a solution for that now, and have enough to field a baseball team. But same with tennis. If there's not enough boys to field that, then girls are allowed to play that and have a mixed co-ed team like that. In those cases, those mixed teams could only play against other male teams. They would not be able to go and play the co-ed team against a girls team in the fall, but in the spring they could play against other boys teams.
That's good. Okay, and then those girls that play in the spring, they would still be eligible for their girls team if they help supplement the boys.
And next fall, yes, it could be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Interesting stuff. Yeah. And actually, the way it worked out, my son was out of town for that match, and then so he talked about it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's something I'm going to ask Jason about. And I thought that'd be a good topic to bring up. So, yeah.
We've even had girls that played on the boys golf teams this past spring, and they would have to play from the boys tees and everything like that. But we've even had girls play boys golf this spring.
Oh, very cool. All right, that's good. Well, that's an interesting tidbit to pass along. I don't know if a lot of people knew that. And then also we got districts for track and field starting for classes 1 and 2.
Well, we just had districts for actually on Saturday. We were able to get all of the districts for 1 and 2 in on Saturday. Their sectionals will be this weekend, and then classes 3, 4, and 5 districts will be this weekend. Man,
you guys are it's hopping now. It's getting busy.
This is one of the fun times. Yes.
All right. Well, you can check out MSHSAA's website at MSHSAA.org, also MissouriNet.com. We'll start posting results for those finals and districts and sectionals, and we'll work all our way to the championships. And we'll visit next week with Jason, and hopefully weather cooperated, and we can get an update on what's going on.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thanks for the update, Jason, and thanks for watching us here at MissouriNet.com.